Hey everyone. Welcome to another episode of We're Experts Now. Um, Sad news and fun news, exciting news, future news, all sorts of things coming out right now. Well, unfortunately, Rebecca has decided that it is her time to move on to other projects, and we are wishing her the absolute best. So, the next episode you're going to see, or the rest of this episode, is going to be the farewell to Rebecca episode. I will say, this is why I'm recording this little intro by myself, that when we recorded that episode, I wasn't sure what I was going to do. The podcast is a whole lot of work, and it was so fun with Rebecca, and it helped me through so many hard times in my life. And the last year has taught me how to talk about my problems and relate to people and put myself on the front line and how I present myself to the world, how I speak. Just so much has helped me grow. And so I'm so grateful to the time that I had and everything that Rebecca and I did together. But that's okay that she wants to do her own thing. So I had to take a little bit of time. I recorded that's part one a couple months ago, I think about 2 months ago. And I've given it some time. I really thought about it. I talked to some friends, I talked to some family, and I decided that I think it's just best that I keep doing it. um, I think you might remember one of my favorite people from one of our past episodes has agreed to be a host with me. Um, and we're working on what that looks like. We're going to try a new format. We're officially calling it season 2. And we are just going to see how it goes, see if it works, see if our audience likes it, if you all like it. It's been crazy because we just hit 1,000 subscribers the other day on YouTube. Thank you, everyone. I was looking on our Buzzsprouts, and we have so many different countries that have listened to us, and I cannot even put into words how grateful I am and how touched I am. So you're going to hear a lot more of me. You're going to hear a lot more of our new friend, and you're going to see a new format, a new style, and we hope everybody loves it as much as I think you're going to. Um, but if not, let us know, right? We are open to feedback. We do this for our listeners, and we hope you all continue to kind of stick with us. And thanks to everyone for how we got here. Thank you for Rebecca for being a part of it. And most of all, thank you to the listeners. You guys are why we keep doing this, and I'm looking forward to the next phase. Stay curious.
Hi, listeners. Welcome to We're Experts Now, a very special episode. I am your co-host, Rebecca Buckley.
I am Jackie for one more week. That's for sure. Welcome to the pod once again. We've all made it here safe and sound. No one fell off the bus today, which is great. It's happened to me before. So I won't talk.
Yeah, sure.
Well, I guess we won't beat around the bush. So, we here and the We're Experts Now family have had a super fun, super awesome run. I think Rebecca has decided to kind of bow out of the pod. I have decided to take at least a hiatus. Maybe I come back, maybe I don't. Maybe there's a new format. Who knows? But, we put a ton of work into this project. It has been such a fun project. We have loved connecting with people all over the world. We've had a ton of countries listen, a kind of like people all over the country, all over the world. It's been a completely bonkers process, but it's been a ton of work. And I think when we started this podcast, this like really scratched an itch. Right now we're gonna like refocus on some other things. Maybe we come back one day. Well, maybe I come back one day. Maybe there's a new host, but yeah,
Yeah, I'm excited for your future projects now that you're a pod expert.
there's definitely a future project in the works. I think that there's definitely some audio or video component of that coming in the future. I will definitely post to this page, whatever that be. Yeah, I don't know if it's in this coming back to this podcast in this format. And we'll kind of talk through that in a second. But yeah, it's been a fun go. Um, and speaking of the experience, I have put together some questions for our little goodbye. A little of, we started as not experts like we do in most of the beginning of most of our episodes. And I think that we've learned a couple things in the process,
Funny.
and just where it all came from. So, Bex, where do we start and why do we start is the first question I have for us. Uh, I think I always attribute it to my finding out I had to have brain surgery and just needing something to do creatively. And like, you are such a creative person, it was just easy to tap into this project for you. And I think that's my why. And
So we're doing a why start a podcast
well, like, why do we start this
question?
podcast? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I think that's a great answer. I feel like that's a great time to do a creative project is when something else is going on in your mind and you can like one have a separate space to like be free and creative, but two, sneakily you will be processing that thing also. And that's like a good trick sometimes to like process something that you don't want to process. Yeah, and I love like taking a stab in the dark, creatively, and I just am always gonna say yes and try to like see what will happen because I think there's so many people that are like, I don't know if some like if someone's friend, I've seen this happen where someone's friend will like come out with a book, or even if they don't even might even not know the person, someone publishes a book, makes a play, finishes a film, whatever the thing is, and they're like, I could do so much better than that. Well, then do it. Like actually do it because like no, very few people ever actually make the thing, and you never know until you make the thing, and you're ahead of so many people by just like actually doing the thing and following through. So I think it's just always like good to see what comes of like following through and finding out what you actually like in a process.
Dude, I think you're 1000%. Like, I think you and I are both very much like those yes people. Like, let's go. Like, that's why we're event planners. We're like, how do we make it happen? And I totally agree. I think I've listened to a lot of podcasts and like been like, oh, I could do better. I've totally thought that. And I think we did a great job, but I think it's also a lot more work than I ever start. And I think that kind of like goes into like, how did we start like creating the concept and format? Like, I think that was a lot of like just conversations between us, and we started to kind of like put this together, and there was areas where I feel like I was better at and there was areas that you were better at. Like, whereas like I think I was really good at being like, okay, this is the format of the episode, and then you're like, okay, but this is how we record it and we actually package that episode, right? And I really feel like so much of this process, if anybody out there ever wants to make a podcast, find somebody to partner with who has very different skills than you. It makes it so much easier to have somebody to rely on that's like, oh, this is really what I know. Like, because if you and I had both had the same knowledge set, there would have been so many things we both would have had to learn together. But I feel like there was areas where I was like, oh, I got this. I can figure this out. And then there are areas where you're like, no, 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 no. This is like how we do a sound bed. I was like, oh, I would have never even thought of sound. Right. Like, so that I think helped quite a bit. And then, yeah, like I don't even know how we came up, like our brand, like how we got there. That's
Oh, yeah.
wild.
Just like shooting, seeing what sticks at throwing things on the wall, seeing what sticks. And
I think
that
you're
first
right.
like logo we made was just like, let's just say out loud, and then just everything that we say, we put it in there.
You're totally right. I think we did. Like, there was so much at the beginning that, like, I had all these pages and Excel sheets that would be like, here's all the information. And then I feel like I had like 9 different, like, catchphrases that we could use. We never used any of them. We always just went with, we're experts now, because that's our title. It was such an easy one. And I think you're right. It was a lot of just brainstorming and putting that information together and then like compromise, right? Like, because I think there's like, our colors, for example. One of those colors is a color that I really like, and one of those colors is a color you really like. And we tried to pick like complementary ones. So it was a lot of compromise. That was like a really big like learning process, like creatively to try and like have your voice, compromise, listen, share, like grow and like create this project with somebody.
Yeah, and like you never know how some complimentary thing could make your idea better, if you only have your own voice in the mix. So I really appreciate the creative process of like, yeah, something outside of my voice, my preference, my perspective.
I also like I think for me in this process, I'm also dumbfounded on how like so many things did stick. I was pretty sure our first episode would probably be one of like our worst episodes. And I actually feel like our first episode, Dungeons and Dragons, was like really well polished. Like I've heard that from like so many people that they were like, yeah, your first episode was like really, really put together. And it was like, yeah, that was Rebecca. Like Rebecca was good at the sound editing. Rebecca like knew all like the pieces to put together, all the components that we needed. And I was like, you really gave it that flair that I think like if you go back and look at our early YouTube videos, you can see where I started with that and where it is now. So like I had a lot of it was not polished. I don't think it's polished now either, but it's more polished than it was. So
I think it's gorgeous. All the flair and the personality. It's so fun to look at.
well, it took a minute. I should have screenshotted early. Actually, I probably have screenshots that I sent you of early versions of what things looked like, and yeah, it's just a really fun process to kind of go through that. I think one of the pieces of advice that I would give to people if they're ever doing a podcast and they want to do the format that we did, which was having guest experts, do not do it in two parts. Okay, do it in one recording. I think that's something you and I definitely realized like was so intensive of like do the first recording, package that, put it together, share that with the expert, then have them record. Then we have to put that together, package everything. It was like so much work. And then I think having experts is also very work intensive because you have to do all this scheduling, you have to do all this share of information. So not only did we double work by having experts, but then we were like, let's do it in two parts. So it worked for what we accomplished. And I think for the way that we wanted the podcast to come across and to be as a viewer experience, I think it really worked that way. But if you are thinking about work intensive, those two things really added a ton of work for us.
Plus all the outfit changes.
I was editing an episode where we talk about that the other day, and I was just like, yeah, we just like even in just this recording session, this is our third outfit. Which might be unnecessary. I also just love a wardrobe change. So like, hate me. I just
Sure.
love to try it out. I don't know. Any other don'ts that we learned from this process, Bex?
I mean, there's a million. There's all the, don't leave a window open, don't leave the AC on, don't, yeah, and whatever level your production values are, there's going to be a lot more, qualities you can live up to in your recording space. Cause it's like once you get set up and you can just start from a really clean audio and video place, you just press record and then the as much effort as you want to put in on the back end, then editing is time is money and you learn that quick, so that will teach it, the lesson will teach itself.
Yeah. I definitely even just learned something new on like iMovie the other day, which I was just like, I've spent, I don't know, 8 months editing videos and just found it. So I think also that is another one of my recommendations. I had you for like teaching me auto editing. Oh, I had you to help me learn auto editing, which I was not good at and I just stopped doing at a certain point. But what I would recommend for video editing, like take a class. Oh my God. Like I watched so many YouTube videos and was so confused for so long. I still haven't learned Final Cut Pro. Like, and maybe now, like I'm talking about doing another project with another friend in like a different like space. I'm like, oh, like let's do a season, like a 10 episode season. And that way, like very clearly from the start, like this is the product, this is what we're delivering. I'm like, okay, I can learn Final Cut Pro, right? Because like I've we've had to keep up with like once a week with our format again. Like maybe if we had done an episode a month, it would have been a lot easier because we didn't have so many moving pieces. So I think, yeah, looking at your format before you put everything together and like fall in love with what like the idea and the concept of what you have, consider how much work that's going to be because it's a lot of work. And microphones, that was another good one. When I used that baby back there, oh God, the audio was
Ah, the Yeti
trash.
USB. I mean, you can do it. Again, it's all about if you know how to level set at the beginning, that's going to save you everything. But if you come in with the levels not right and you got to do a lot of cleanup, it compounds. The issues get more complicated.
Yeah, so it's been a really fun process. What other questions do we have? I think we've covered tough topics. Oh, was there any favorite topics? I think that was a question. Like, was there anything that you just loved chatting about? I'm gonna have to go like to
I
our
know. I'm like, I might need to
content
remind myself
because
what.
this we will by the end of this will be a total of 47 episodes. Unhide. Okay. I did love D&D. That was a really great one. I've loved all of our travel episodes. I'll be real. Like every single one of my travel episodes, it has been one of my favorites. I've totally thought about doing a travel vlog at this point, but seems like more work than I want to do.
Oh, I'm
Oh,
in
I
the
thought
wrong
Coachella
Google
was a good
Drive.
one.
Oh yeah,
Um,
that was fun.
Electric Cars was a good one. Oh, what was the one? Your friend that was the animator, Panda. That
Oh
episode was
yeah,
super
3D
fun. I
character
really,
art.
mm-hmm. What else
I
did we
liked
do?
Intimacy Coordinator.
Oh yeah,
That was
working in the
fun.
morgue with our friend Trench. We gotta love Trench. They were actually just texting me a little bit ago. They knew. Oh, Tequila, that was a great one. Who you were trying to
Yeah,
mention? And
and you know
yes,
what? I do think about that a lot where I'm like, I just, yeah,
yeah,
tequila is a type of mezcal. You never think about that. You always think mezcal is a type of
I
tequila.
did. Too. Yeah, I would have thought that the rest of my life.
Drug discovery was awesome.
Was a fun one. Coaching debate, I really
Oh,
liked.
weather. It's got to
Yes,
be weather.
weather's such a
He
good
was
one.
so fun.
Okay, what is one that you learned the most in? That you actually learned the most in? I would say weather was probably the one I learned the most in. Let me see. NFTs I learned a lot in too, actually.
I feel like I could have gotten a better. Well, I did learn like some fundamentals of NFTs.
Living on boats, I learned a lot.
Mm,
On that one, I had literally no idea. Um, UX design, I learned a lot on as well. That one I actually
yeah.
thought was really helpful. Okay, what was the
Oh,
most
and
confusing?
fundraising.
Oh,
Maybe
fundraising was great.
fundraising because I was like, there's so much that I'll never have to like actually dive into, but like is so essential for business and certain like things that I just won't ever hopefully have to deal with.
Okay, what
Boot
topic did
camp.
you boot camp was great. I love boot camp. Okay, what topic did we cover that you didn't understand at all? And I would say one of my favorites was also this one is animator. I have no idea what we talked about that entire episode. There were so many words that we used that I was so lost on. Like I understood drug discovery better than I understood animator, because there's so like I'm not technology forward. Like I'm bad at tech in the first place. So that subject, I was just like, what is like? Remember, I drew the bearskin rug.
Maybe higher education. I'm like, I still don't really know how it all goes down, but
That's
happy
that
for
was
them.
that was definitely one that was hard. I drug discovery was also
Yeah.
hard to learn. Um, oh, you know what? Actually, one of my favorites was also Social Media Love Story. I loved that one too. That one just warmed my
And we
heart.
don't know how love happens. We still
We
don't
don't know.
know.
We still don't know. We still don't know. Missionary, I learned a lot on that one. I didn't know much about that. Okay. Let's see if there's any other questions.
Maybe writing a song. I'm just like, we can just talk about it. We can't really like
That's a feeling.
teach it. But I wrote a song since then. So, and I thought about that episode when we were doing it.
You did. I actually was thinking about writing a song with my niece. She's going to stay the night in a couple nights, and I was like, oh, maybe we write a song.
And I recorded it, and the person told me, "Thank you for your vulnerability," which is the worst thing you can say. So,
What a vibe. Okay, Bex, what are, I'm taking a break. So what are you walking away from the podcast with?
I'm working on a new project where I'm writing short smut. So,
Okay,
might be doing some audio erotica in the future.
good
That's
for
just a
you.
fun journey I'm on in my New Year tradition. But yeah, it's New Year. Happy New Year's. Happy 2024.
2024.
And, I know what I can do now with audio editing and podcasting and just like, yeah, I'm never going to lose that sense of like, I'm always going to start the project. I'm always going to like see how far it goes.
Same. I
And
love it.
I
And we
have
made
had a
it
few,
pretty far. We made it
I
pretty
have
far.
I have had a few moments when like I'm out and I start talking about something about the podcast. I'm like, oh, there's so much fun clout that comes with having a podcast. And
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think we're at like just below 550 on YouTube now. So thanks to all the subscribers. We love you. It just kind of like that's if I'm honest, that's why I don't want to walk away. Like I feel like we've kind of built a fan base and I don't like that's why I'm like I want to take a break and I want to kind of refocus and focus on other parts of my life for a little bit, but I do have this like want to come back, right? So that's why you hear me. I'm so on the fence because I'm like, yeah, I definitely want to see what's out there for a little bit. I want to work on some other projects, but maybe I do pick this back up, right? Because this has been such a big experience. It has been like, yeah, there's such a fun cloud of saying I have a podcast, right? We
or
made it,
like, oh, I'm doing this because of the podcast, or why do we do this for the podcast? It's like,
right?
and you know what? You can always do the thing.
You can always do the thing. And you know what? We'll give an update episode one day. We'll say hello again. I certainly will. I will definitely provide some updates. And I've also like been like, well, maybe I just like build social media and work on those pieces because I haven't had chances to move on that. So like we got a ton of content in our back storages. This is probably not the last you ever hear from us, but I think it's the last you hear from us for a little bit. And Bakantra's going to go work on some great new projects. Because of our relationship is so intertwined in so many ways, I don't know if I'm going to read the smut. I was going to say I'd read it and support you, but
Mm.
I that might be like we're become more like sisters than
I
really
feel
anything at
like
this
the
point.
the thing is, I have let some people read like a paragraph or two, but I'm like, listen, I'm not going to give away the content for free, okay? Reading drafts for pleasure is a different thing. But if you like buy an audiobook, like forget that it's me. I'll have a pen name, you won't even know. But other than that, I am doing the sketch, and I will be at Sketchfest in San Francisco. I'm doing stand up around the globe and possibly in your hometown. So I will
I love it.
continue the comedy tradition.
All right. Well, we are certainly experts now, Rebecca.
We certainly are.
And we'll stay experts.
That was great. And that was the show. Thank you, everyone, for watching, and we hope you stay curious.
If you enjoyed this video, watch our other videos here on YouTube, or you should listen to the episode on We're Experts Now podcast. Bex, where can they find us?
You can find us wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeart Music.
And what if they want to talk to us?
If you have ideas for something you want us to investigate, send us an email at we'reexpertspod@gmail.com. That's wereexpertspod@gmail.com.
Great job on that spelling.
Ooh.
A+. Do you do this professionally?
I believe we're both doing it professionally right now.
Wow, people should know about this.
I completely agree, and you can find us on Instagram at We're Experts Now Pod.
Thanks again, and if you enjoy the show, subscribe and comment, and do not forget to leave a 5-star tip.
That's a great idea. Are you a podcast expert?
I think we both are. I think
We're experts now.
This has been a Just Being Better Media production.